This video is just to go over a few quick things about driving the coach. Right now I'm going to go ahead and start the coach so that I can illustrate some things for you. Right now you're hearing a little beep, and that beep goes along with this warning light right here, and that is for the tag axle. It's just letting you know that the tag axle is deflated, and it's always deflated when you first start the coach. Once you drive to a certain mile an hour, it automatically inflates and you won't have that buzzer anymore. Generally only does that on a cold start. A few things here about the gauges. You'll see battery gauge there, so you know that you're charging at 13 volts, RPM, and fuel gauge, which is right now at a half a tank. The oil pressure and water temperature over here, also something that you'll need to watch. The other two are boost gauges for the turbos that you're probably not going to be too concerned about. The speedometer is in the middle. One more thing to notice here would be the diesel exhaust fluid meter. So right now it is at 3 of 4 bars. If you get down to where you don't have diesel exhaust fluid, the vehicle will go into limp mode, and then it won't run over a few miles per hour, so that you don't do damage to that system. So important to have plenty of diesel exhaust fluid. You should fuel at a truck stop, and they have diesel exhaust fluid at the pump, and you can fill it, which I'll show you how to do in a separate video. This is the switch for the Comfort Drive system, and the Comfort Drive system on the new MAR is a steering assist, which aids you in driving in very narrow spaces, maneuvering the coach, but it also aids you in driving down the freeway so that you don't get blown all over the road. It actually makes the coach very easy to drive, and I generally have it in the middle setting when I'm driving. It seems to work well for me, but it can be adjusted. And you'll see if I turn the steering wheel, what that Comfort Drive system eventually will do is turn the wheel itself back to 12 o'clock. So it's always back to center. When you let go of the wheel, it moves it back to center. If you let go of the wheel for a half a second on the freeway, it doesn't try to change lanes on you. The steering will pull back to center, and also helps with wind gusts, etc. This is your backup camera. Always important to be watching that. That's your rear view mirror. When you signal to change lanes, these side cameras will come on. Left side camera. This helps you monitor your blind spots. So what you can't see in your mirrors, you can see in these cameras, and you can avoid unsafe lane changes. Over here you have your drive selector for the transmission. You see it just has reverse, neutral, and drive. There's no park on this transmission. Very important to note. So you always set the parking brake by pulling out this yellow handle before you take your foot off the brake or shift into neutral. Otherwise the coach will go rolling away on you. So always set that brake, and then of course once you shift into drive to leave, you'll need to push that back in order to move the coach. You'll see it's clearly marked pull to apply, push to release. And over here you'll see some switches This will allow you to turn on and off the engine brake. I turn off the engine brake when I'm driving in town. It makes the coach sort of jerky at low speeds. And if you are not towing and you don't need too much engine brake, I usually have it on low. If I'm in the mountains, I will switch it to medium. And you'll feel the engine brake come on and off when the coach slows itself down, or when you apply the air brakes or the brake pedal on the coach. The other switch you see here is the tag axle switch. Now I leave it up in the auto position. In the auto position, when you go to make a tight turn on the coach, it will automatically deflate the bags in the tag axle, and the tag axle will go into a passive steering mode. So now you're turning with a shorter wheelbase between the live axle and the front axles, and the rear axle will turn as well, which makes the coach super maneuverable. When you're moving again, as I showed you with that warning light, it will inflate itself and give you stability in the back. So if you're driving on a windy day, that tag axle really stabilizes this coach. When you see other coaches swerving all over the highway and you're driving straight, you'll really appreciate that feature. And then of course your auto stabilizer, which I have done a tutorial in another video. Here are your headlight switches. So you can switch from bright to dim here for dash lights. It's your off and on switch for headlights, off and on switch for fog lights, and this turns your dome light on and off. The air horn switch, if you wanted an air horn mode, which is a little bit louder than your regular horn. And this battery boost feature you should never have to use, but if for some reason the coach batteries were dead, the coach batteries were dead, and you needed to use the house batteries to jump the coach, you could do that. Over here on the other side, you'll see another group of switches. This is visor or shade, and that is for the overhead visor and shade. Now there isn't regular like car sun visors, so these are important to know while you're driving because it can help keep the sun out of your eyes. You'll also want to close that at night for privacy. And then you have some overhead fans that you can turn on to blow air at yourself up here, and then your regular heater controls right here. This is your power door lock, so you can lock and unlock the entry for somebody if you want to let them in or not let them in. And this is a hot pad type charger if you want to set your cell phone on, if you have a cell phone that's capable of charging that way. So this 360 camera select switch here, this will work with the navigation system. Now this is a RV friendly navigation system. If you use this navigation from Rand McNally instead of your cell phone navigation, it will keep you off roads that may not be friendly to a large coach like this, keep you on RV friendly pathways. You have your standard Bluetooth and iPod controls, navigation, auxiliary input if you want to listen to the music from your phone, and go back to our home screen here. And then you have a 3D camera mode on this, which is here you go, hit cam, which is pretty neat. So this uses GPS to position the coach. And you see this is the coach from the top. This is the coach from the back. And I have several different camera modes that I can choose from if I want to look left and right, and what's in my proximity around the outside of the coach. Top and left, top and right, top and front, rear focused. So if I'm maneuvering the coach in small spaces and I'm not able to see, I can use this feature to know exactly where I am at into proximity to anything that I may want to avoid making contact with. So kind of a neat feature. Otherwise, it's just like every other car stereo. If you want it to play music or anything else. And I think that's all there is to go over in the cockpit.